Welcome to Kitchen Connect today. My name's Tracy. For those of you who don't know me, we have some new people perhaps joining us today on Facebook from Narrogin and maybe some Manjimup people as well. Who knows? So welcome to everybody. Welcome to my pan's very hot, isn't it? Welcome to people who are joining us from the Cooks Collective and people who are joining us on Matters of Taste Cooking School's webpage. Hello. Please use the chat box. Love to know that you're there. If you've got any questions, let us know as well. If you're watching from either of our streaming, then you'll be able to use the chat box if you've got a Google or a YouTube account. I'm just going to take this off because it's so efficient at heating. It's hot already, and knowing me, I'll probably gabble on for another couple of minutes explaining to you what's going on. And that's why it's so hot, is because the flame is up very high. Always a good thing to do is check underneath the pan for your gas flame and see how high it is. So today I'm going to run through a really quick meal that I actually just cooked the other day for Anthony and I at home. I'm going to show you how to do a Greek lamb with orzo. And orzo is a rice-shaped pasta. Now this is risotto. So that's the first thing that you'll see that's different from the recipe. Risotto is slightly smaller than orzo, so it'll be interesting when I go to actually drain the pasta once I've cooked it, to see if it actually fits through the colander's holes and goes down the drain. Let's get a sieve out, shall we? That's a good idea, Trace. Anyway, we're going to cook that in a second. It takes about 10 minutes to cook, and I've got my water boiling already. So yeah, if you're on either Matters of Taste or the Cooks Collective, you can use the chat box on the right hand side. Say hello to us, tell us where you're watching from and what suburb or what part of the country you're watching us from. We had people from New Zealand yesterday as well, which was awesome. And if you can't see the chat box, you can't use it, you'll need a YouTube or a Google account logged into your Google account, or get yourself a YouTube account. Pretty tricky, it sounds like, but once you've done it, you're in and you can chat, so it's really cool. All right, so let's pop this back on a lower heat, which would be a good idea. So I'm preheating my pan as per usual. I just think that this meal was one of those things that I went, oh, what shall I cook for dinner? What have I got in the cupboard? I had some lamb mince in the freezer, so I went, ha, let's do a little Greek lamb number. So I'm going to get my onion on to cook first. So we're also going to be featuring a little bit about the farmers who grow some of these products that we actually get through our produce boxes as well from the Southern Forest region and aroundabouts. So the first one to mention is onions, because we have been getting some fantastic onions from a farmer called Farmer Joe. And where does he farm, Mr. Cameraman?
Castro Farms at Milup.
Milup, okay, so superb. We've been getting some lovely brown onions and some red onions from him. Thank you very much. Onions are probably one of the most important things to have in the... I'm just going to move that so that if the cameraman wants to come in a little bit closer and see me chopping the other onion, it may be an idea as well to go in a little bit closer. Anyway, I'm going to start chopping anyway. Good sharp knife, but thank you, Joe, for your onions. Fantastic. Good sharp knife. Keep the tip of the onion, actually the root of the onion intact, and when you chop through, sort of chop through to as far as you can go to the root of the onion, but so that it stays together. So don't take off that root, because it's going to hold that onion together. And then chop the other way. So you don't have to chop very finely with this. It's a nice rustic sort of dish, and every time when I feel like the onion's just going to slip over a little bit, I always just flip it over like that, and then you can just chop up the rest of the onion like that, and it's very easy, and you're just left with a tiny little part of the root, so you don't want to waste any. So into my preheated pan, I'm using one of our lovely Solid Technics pans. Love using these, and I know I keep going on about them, but this morning I did a quick video on Facebook about how to cook scrambled eggs, and I used a Solid Technic stainless steel saucepan, and it just makes life so much easier when you've got good pans. These are lifetime pans. They're going to last a lifetime, definitely my lifetime. My girls have already gone, we want your pans, Mum, when you're up in heaven. So I can pass them down to the girls. They're really amazing. So they're just solid cast iron, no rivets, no nothing. They're absolutely indestructible. So I'm going to start with frying the onion in a little bit of olive oil, and I'm going to season the onion. So once you start watching me cooking for after a few videos, you'll find out the things that I just regularly do. Being a qualified chef, there are just things that you're taught to do, and I've been cooking now professionally for nearly 40 years. I think this is my 40th year cooking professionally, and there are some things that I do that are just I don't even think about them. So the lovely cameraman is constantly reminding me to tell people every single thing that I do, and just make things simpler. So I love cooking. I get very excited about it. But I will always say to you, if you're frying off an onion as a base to a dish, and we're not talking Asian cooking here, we're talking more Western style cooking and European cooking, always season the onion, because that's the base flavor for the dish, and it's really important. Onion will give you a lovely umami sort of flavor, like a really nice savory type flavor. So it's really important that the onion is well seasoned to start off with. If you season right at the end, you're going to get the taste of the dish, or the lamb and the tomatoes and the spinach and everything, and then you're going to get the taste of the salts and pepper separately. This has got very thick skin, this garlic. We're getting to the stage now, as we're filming this, that garlic is actually being planted out now here in WA, and so the garlic that has been stored has got very dry, papery outside skin now, because that's been stored for coming up to a year. So I'll just do that, get rid of that, and I'm going to add the garlic to the onion. Just going to take the top and the tip and the bottom off, and I'm going to add that to the onion. Once this onion has cooked a little bit more, I'm just going to slightly alter my gas flame to the outside and turn it right down, because then I can see it. That's it. Feel more in control now, because I can see the flame. Okay, so we'll leave that for a second. Don't add garlic. This is another one of those things that I tell you every single time. Don't add garlic until the onion is almost cooked, because garlic and onion have got quite a high sugar content in themselves, and so hence caramelized onion. Where does the caramelizing come from? It comes from the natural sugars in the onions. So if I make actual caramelized onions, I never add sugar or honey to them, because the onions are just such a lovely flavor on their own. They don't need sweetening up at all. They're just beautiful. So we do want a little bit of caramelization on this onion, a little bit of brown on the onion, but in a minute or a couple of minutes, that will be ready to go. So let's go back to the pasta. Now, if you can't find risotto or orzo, you can so use white rice if you want to. But I just thought this was actually quite fun. Orzo is more of a Greek style pasta. I mean, there's pastas or they're noodles all over the world, isn't there? So it doesn't necessarily, pasta doesn't necessarily have to be just restricted to Italy or Italian food and cooking. You've got noodles from Asia, and you've got different types of noodles all over the world. Germany makes their own little noodly things to go in soups and things like that. There's so many different types of noodles. So risotto is, as I said, the slightly smaller cousin of orzo, and I'm going to do about 1.5 cups of these. So just, it doesn't need to be exactly a certain amount, or whatever. If you like more pasta, put more in. If you like less, put less in. But I found that this works quite well for about 4 people. A good pinch of salt. That's probably close to a teaspoon of salt. And we always use the Murray River salt flakes, because they taste so good. Number 1, they're full of minerals. Number 2, and they're Australian. Number 3, I don't know whether it's all in that order, but the Murray River salt flakes are absolutely fantastic. In fact, the cameraman had What did you have for lunch today? Or was it Oh, no, it's something that you ate this morning.
Yeah, it was breakfast.
Breakfast, and we didn't have run out of Murray River salt flakes at home, so I must take some at home. And Anthony used some other salt that I had at the back of the pantry, and he said,
Disgusting.
say no more. So yeah, you do get salt's really important in cooking, isn't it? And if it's got really harsh flavour, you're going to get this harsh flavour in your cooking. So try the Murray River salt flakes. I don't think I've got the Murray River Gourmet on top of here, but yeah, you'll find them in IGAs and good food stores. They are absolutely fantastic. We do sell them here on a Friday at the moment. We've got baker's flour and eggs, charcoal springs, pastured eggs, and we've got Murray River salt as well. So we absolutely love that. Sell tons of that salt because it is fantastic stuff. So you can order it from us and pick it up on a Friday from us, as well as a lovely produce box. All right, let's get the timer on. I preset it. This is bubbling away now, so I'm just going to turn this down. Come on, magic finger. That's it. Probably about 5. So I've got lots of water in there. Lots of water for the pasta to all... Actually, it doesn't... That's more spaghetti, isn't it? This is probably like this. Like that, risotto or orzo. So it'll just juggle around in there and not stick to its neighbour, because if it's really lazily boiling and the risotto's just sitting there like that, it's going to stick to its next door neighbour. So just make sure that you have plenty of boiling water to cook that. In goes the garlic. And you can hear that my pan is not particularly high. I just don't want to burn that garlic as it goes in. But just wait long enough for that garlic to start smelling fab, right? Otherwise it's got a bit of a raw flavour. All right, so I'm going to turn this up slightly now. Look underneath, Trace. Practice what you preach. Turn it up. Just give it 30 seconds or so just to heat up. And then I'm going to start frying the lamb mince. Of course, Australian lamb mince. Of course it is. The pan now, I can feel as well, is just glowing. It's just got this beautiful glow right the way around the outside. All the heat is coming in, even up here, that I can feel that the heat of the pan is still really quite hot. So when you put this amount of, this is 500 grams, when you put this amount of anything cold from the fridge, it's been out for half an hour or so, but still relatively cold from the fridge. If you stir it around immediately, it's just going to cool that pan down and start... and it will start stewing in the pan. So I don't want that to happen. So I'm actually just going to leave it there for a minute or so, just for the meat to start browning underneath and for the pan to start heating the meat through, and then I'm going to stir it around.
I just wanted to say hello to Natalie, Sally and Millie. And Millie has said that Mark, her husband, made ricotta and spinach gnocchi last night, and it was awesome.
Oh, fantastic. That's really great. I love hearing that. Thank you for telling me that, and hello to all of you lovely people out there. That's great. Great. I know gnocchi's it's not really that hard, is it? And Mark, you can then go on and watch in the Cooks Collective, you can also watch the potato gnocchi video now and make the potato gnocchi as per my recipe. And because you've got the idea of rolling it out, chopping it up, how to poach it, that'll be a winner as well, because I know that you want to make the potato gnocchi. So that's really fantastic news. Good on you. All right. Love that. Actually, I saw Jan made the most gorgeous cheesecake yesterday. Was it only yesterday we made cheesecake? And Jan down in Albany, she made the cheesecake, took it in for morning tea at work this morning, and that was an absolute hit. So that's really fantastic too. Jan reckons it was the easiest cheesecake she's ever made. I love it. Love it, love it. So yeah, loads of these beautiful recipes on the Cooks Collective. If you're not a member, definitely check that out, won't you? cookscollective.co. So we've got a lovely... community of keen home cooks on there, and a great Facebook page as well, private Facebook page. So here we go. This is a little bit like making bolognese, isn't it? Italian, but we're doing sort of starting off in a very fairly similar way without so many vegetables, but just moving this around a bit. So I'm just going to leave that again. I just want to make sure that all that meat is really well chopped up.
I just wanted to give it a shout out to Kathy at Hillside Farmers in Narrogin, and Anthony and Natasha, who supply our beautiful produce with produce boxes from Southern Forest Produce Manjimup.
Everyone does an awesome job. It's really fantastic being involved with everyone down there and being able to promote our wonderful produce that we have here in Australia. I just keep thinking, we've been talking to quite a number of people in America recently, and some people have got really, very few fresh product, not an awful lot of fresh produce where they're living. So I think we're exceptionally lucky. All right, can you just show over the top? Can you see my pasta is not boiling enough because I took the lid off? All right, so always just be careful of this. If you take the lid off, steam's going to disperse and it's not going to cook nearly as fast. So just keep your eye on that, because otherwise that could have been disastrous if it was just sitting there very lazily, as I described before. I'm actually going to get the sieve out that I was thinking of using. I've just got one of these fab little sort of conical sieves. I was going to use this one, but I think maybe the Orzo might fall through the holes. So plan B. Risoni might fall. The Orzo wouldn't, but the Risoni might. Now, a little bit of chili. I'm going to go really fine. Not very much on this because I know the cameraman's not his favourite. Too much information, oversharing. Anyway, so a little bit of chili goes in there just to give it a little bit of oomph, and you can really hear now that that's sizzling nicely. I've got a lot of space in my pan at the moment, but I am going to add some other components into that as well. Just keep on sort of making sure that pasta's going all right as well. I will just season this just a touch more as well, because we've now got the meat in there, obviously, and I had just put sort of enough seasoning for the I think I got those the wrong way around. I think that's that. So enough seasoning for the onions first off. So we're going to put some spice in here now. So my two best mates, right? Coriander and cumin, or cumin, doesn't matter. Coriander and cumin. So cumin is a very earthy spice. It's got quite a punchy flavour. This one's going to have about a teaspoon and a half. When I'm putting spice on into any dish like that, can you see how I've sort of scattered it over the top rather than just plonking it straight in there? It just is so much better. Gosh, this is starting to smell really good now. And then its best mate, coriander. So coriander is a much lighter aroma and flavour, sort of a little bit citrusy, just absolutely delicious. And the two of them go together so beautifully. So if you haven't got cumin and coriander in your pantry, those are the two that I highly, highly recommend. Going to turn this down now because we don't want to burn the spice. Highly recommend, because I'll use them quite often in cooking. And 2 teaspoons measured so accurately with my teaspoon measure that I have with me at all times. So that's what we've got in there. Chili, cumin, coriander, and oregano. So oregano grows all over the place in Greece like wild. It's absolutely fantastic stuff. So we've got some lovely caramelization going on here as well. And now we're going to throw in, our Orzo's got about a minute and a half. Here are the tomatoes. Now these ones are from Southern Forest, and this one, these ones are actually grown on a farm called Hygro, Hygro. And it's Shane and his wife. Let me check wife's name, because that's really important. Shane and Janine Yilioff. So they grow these beautiful tomatoes, and honestly, we've been getting some lovely sort of more cherry, grape style tomatoes from them, and they have been absolutely delicious. So I've just cut these in half, and we'll add those to here, so that'll give it a little bit more. Just going to turn this down again. It'll give it a little bit more, right down, not up, down, there we go. A little bit more moisture in there. Now the tomato farm is family run, and Shane, actually, his background is actually as a nurseryman. So he is an expert in growing seedlings. So it was quite natural for him to take his expertise in growing seedlings and actually take them from seedling up to fully mature plants and start harvesting them. So they grow tomatoes, and they also grow Lebanese cucumbers as well, which are the most gorgeous little things. I love Lebanese cucumbers. They're sweet and crunchy, and you can just eat them like that, can't you? They're really good. So we've been getting some beautiful tomatoes, and part of the beautifulness, if there's such a word, of their tomatoes, I have found out recently, is that they do everything by hand. So also minimal sprays. Just going to add my spinach. I don't know where that's grown, but there we go. Can't have everything, can we? So they grow their tomatoes in pristine conditions with very, very minimal sprays. They hand pick, and they do an amazing job. And I think that's the reason why their product has got such a long shelf life, is because it's not damaged by machinery picking. It's actual human beings picking the tomatoes and the cucumbers. So therefore, obviously, they know how to handle their produce, and they handle it really beautifully. So congratulations, because the tomatoes, lots of people have said to me when they pick up their produce box that they've been really enjoying the tomatoes as well. So they just seem to have so much flavour in them. It's really good. And they started off really quite small, and then grew to a larger business that they now supply quite a number of stores and quite a number of markets as well. So it's absolutely fantastic. And a little bit of information about Shane is that he drives a Harley Davidson. He drives a motorbike, and so when they first started out, apparently the tomatoes got a nickname of Harley Davidson tomatoes, which I thought was quite cute. So I'm sure he still does drive his Harley Davidson, but the farm is actually called High Grow. Maybe you should rename it, Shane. Who knows? Anyway, Shane's mum and dad helps him as well. It's a real family affair, isn't it? Let's do a shout out. Terry and Denise are the other part of the family who help run the farm as well. So it's really fantastic, isn't it? You sort of like knowing the farmers, you really get to, really appreciate what they do and how they do it. So thank you guys for not using machines and taking lots of love, care and attention over your tomatoes, because they certainly taste pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. So they'll break down a little bit in here, and I've turned the heat down as well because we've got colour on there, and I just want to make sure that this spinach is wilted. Now I'm going to have a look at this risoni, because if any Italians saw me, is that all right? If any Italians saw me actually rinsing this like I might do right now, they might be a bit upset. We're using Barilla pasta, by the way, only because it's such a good, well, not only because, but because it is such a good product. But it can be a little bit starchy, this pasta, once you've cooked it first off. So it sort of all sticks together in the sieve as well. But I'm going to make sure that I have just rinsed that a little bit, just to get some of that starch off, because we don't want it too starchy in there. And this actually might be a little bit too much risoni compared to the Orzo, because the Orzo's bigger. So if I'm packing that Orzo into 1.5 cups and it's a bigger shape pasta, then it's not going to be as much volume wise as it is with the smaller pasta. Does that make sense? I don't know whether it does, but if you're concerned and you go, I can't get that pasta, you can certainly use anything, or like orecchietti, the little ears, penne pasta if you want to. You can also use, any of the small shapes. The bow pasta would be good with this as well. I mean, it almost looks a bit risotto-ish, doesn't it? Greek risotto. I guess we could call it that, couldn't we? So I'm just going to leave that last little bit out. I think that's probably enough risotto in there, because you want a decent amount of meat and vegetables in there as well. Now I'm going to crumble through. This feta. I might use the whole thing. I don't know. I think I've got about 150 grams on the recipe. I can't remember. And to be quite honest with you, when I first made it, I just crumbled up, feta that I had in the fridge. So I can't even remember whether it was a whole packet or not. But this adds a little bit of saltiness to it. So just be a bit careful that you don't actually over salt. But the good thing is with this is that I'm going to finish off. Thank you, Cobram Estate, extra virgin. We're doing lots of shout outs today. But you know what? The products that you use in your cooking obviously affect the end result, doesn't it? The final taste. So if you know that you're using fairly good quality pasta with your Barilla, and you can get that from the supermarket, and you're using all this really good stuff, so it's bound to taste good, isn't it? Isn't it? I think so. So we're going to finish this off. Which I might actually leave it in the pan. What do you think, Mr. Cameraman, instead of putting it on the white plate?
Agree with you.
Okay, we're going to leave it in the pan, but I'm just going to finish this off with a little bit of lemon juice. We'll bring this over here to show you what it looks like, nice and close up. Oh, it smells really good. I feel like drinking ouzo. How's that for placement? Not quite?
Done well, darling, done well.
I've done well. Wow.
Yeah.
I think probably there.
That'll do.
So popping a little bit of lemon juice in at the end, that's going to give this such a gorgeous flavour. So don't leave this bit out, will you? It's really important that you have this lovely lemon juice in here. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a taste, because the taste of this, got no idea. How are we going for time?
28 minutes.
Into that, yeah, we've done 28 minutes already. See, it's really good, isn't it? Because I've been chatting right the way through that. You'll be able to do it in much quicker than 28 minutes, I reckon. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's really good. I know I say that all the time, don't I? But it does. It tastes really, really good.
Making my mouth water.
I love it. I know. Is it making your mouth water? So there you go. That is a pretty quick evening meal. The other things that you can add to that are my ubiquitous peas. I'm always adding peas to things because they're so handy, aren't they? The little baby peas, the little baby frozen peas, really super handy, lovely and sweet through there. So you can pop those in when you put the spinach in as well at the same time. By the time you've mixed everything together with a hot orzo or risotto, they'll be done. And the other thing that I'd really like to add to that is some roasted eggplant. So you can just chop your eggplant into 1.5 centimetre, 2 centimetre chunks. Toss it with, a decent amount of Cobram Estate extra virgin olive oil, some salt, some pepper, and roast them in about a 190 oven for about 25 minutes until they're all golden on the outside. Take them out of the oven into there as well. I think that would be divine, and it's quite Greek. Eggplant, isn't it? It's really, really delicious. So there you go. There's a couple of extra additions that you can do if you're a veggie lover like I am. But I hope that you enjoy the Greek lamb dish there and make it sometime soon for your dinner table. So tomorrow night, no, not tomorrow night, tomorrow at 3 o'clock, I'm going to show you how to cook polenta. So we're going to Italy tomorrow. So I'll be speaking Italian like that. We're going to go to Italy. I'm going to show you how to cook a beautiful, soft, creamy, cheesy polenta with some beautiful Italian sausages. And I'll tell you where the best place in Perth is, I reckon, where you get Italian sausages from tomorrow. And using our lovely base recipe of the fresh tomato sauce as well. And I'm going to do some big flat, well, I think the ones that I've got are field mushrooms. Are they field mushrooms or portobellos? But the big flat mushrooms, I'm going to show you how to make some beautiful, delicious, buttery garlic mushrooms to go with that as well tomorrow. So tune in tomorrow at 3 o'clock if you'd like to join me. Go to mattersoftaste.com.au to register. And of course, if you're a Cooks Collective member, you will get that for free anyway as part of your subscription. Have I told them everything they need to know today, Mr. Cameraman?
I think so.
I'm glad he's with me, you know. So thank you for watching. Really appreciate. Oh, yes? No?
The ladies on the chat have said I've been very quiet today compared with Emma.
Oh, right, yeah. Anthony's taking a chill pill today. It's lovely. So we're all feeling really good. And dinner's done now. So I can relax now, can't I? But thank you for watching, and we will see you again tomorrow at 3 o'clock, or maybe catch up with us next week. And we're going to be making a beautiful lemon and passion fruit curd, making them into lemon meringue pies with beautiful big mountains of Italian meringue on the top. That's next Wednesday, so you can join us